Hi, this is Jason from Horrific Nightmares. In keeping with the theme of this week, which is the road to Friday the 13th, I'm going to show you a little bit of my collection during the week. That's not primarily what this video is for, but I just figured I'd show it anyway. This is the Friday the 13th and A Nightmare on Elm Street Killer Trivia game. 2 games to die for. I'm going to pop it open real quick. There's not much to it. The tin is pretty cool. It's got your instructions here, your game cards, your pad to keep track of the score, which I thought was pretty cool. It's a decapitated person, which is pretty neat, and your die. But I thought the tin was really neat. I actually bought this a couple years ago at a yard sale. Of course, I can't get the top back on. That's all right. I just wanted to show that to you guys in keeping with the week. I'm going to try to show you guys a little something every day from my collection. But the purpose of this video is I've been tagged again. This time by TheHORROMan. He created a tag of 8 questions pertaining to slasher films. And if you guys watch my channel, you know that I'm a huge slasher fan, especially 80s slashers. Although I still do like modern slashers as well. But without further ado, let's get started. Question number 1. Your favorite standalone slasher film? Now, TheHORRORman, who of course tagged me, and I will put his link in the description box, he kind of took mine. I guess great minds think alike. But I do have some others. I picked 4. But if you guys watch my channel, you all know how I feel about Final Exam. I think it's a tremendously good slasher film. And I actually think that not knowing the identity or the motives of the killer actually works for this film. So I really do love Final Exam. Next I picked Stage Fright. Definitely one of the cooler 80s slasher films with a pretty neat mask. That's all I'm going to say if you've never seen it. But it is really cool. Definitely one of my favorites. The Prowler also made my list. I love this film. This would be my favorite standalone slasher film. The others are kind of honorable mentions. And I do have another one that I'm going to show. But I think this film is incredible. I love the killer's get up. The kills are incredible. I think Tom Savini really outdid himself on this one. The Burning, and the original Friday the 13th, I think are some of his best work. But I do love the Prowler. The other one I wanted to show that I don't think it's talked about enough is Mortuary with the late great Bill Paxton. I really like this film. I think it's a good slasher film. I like the I guess costume that the killer is wearing. I think it works well for the film. So, but I definitely think this movie should get talked about a little bit more. So that's Mortuary. Question number 2. What is your favorite slasher mask or overall look? I picked 2 for that as well. Like I said, if you do watch my channel, sorry about the shaky cam, guys. If you do watch my channel, you saw one of my later pickups is Metalface. Now, while it's not a great slasher film, one of the things that drew me to this movie, to watch it in the first place, was the mask. I think the mask is incredibly well done. But That's definitely one of my favorites. And then my all-time favorite is The Orphan Killer. This guy has a really, really cool mask. Um, Andrew Ballina, who I believe also got tagged in the HORRORman's video, mentioned this for his 20 favorite modern day slashers. And when I watched his video, I was like, oh man, I completely forgot about that one. But I do love the mask, and the movie overall is really, really well done. And it definitely should have made my top 25 modern day slashers. But for some reason, I forgot about it. But that's question number 2. Question number 3. What is your favorite slasher movie kill? I know that mine and one of my friends that I talk to on YouTube's favorite kill is the one from Jason X. There's actually 2 in there. One makes me laugh, and I think one is completely incredible. And that is the liquid nitrogen kill in Jason X. Every time I see that, I'm in complete awe of it. And the other kill, which makes me laugh, and I don't know if you could really consider it a kill. One of the people I'm going to tag is Mrs. B and Me, and he did his Friday the 13th rankings the other night. So I'm going to leave his link in the description box below. Definitely go check them out. They have a really, really cool channel. But I also spoke about this on my modern day slashers, the hologram kill, where there's 2 girls there that let's see how I can explain this. They basically take off their tops and say, do you want to have premarital sex or get high or drink? And he basically puts them both in the sleeping bags and beats one of them with the other one. It's just hysterical. Very, very cool. But that is number 3, my favorite slasher movie kill. Let's see. What is my favorite? Question number 4 is, what is my favorite slasher film setting? Once again, if you guys have watched my top 25 modern day slashers, I did state in there that my favorite setting for a slasher movie is in the snow. I just think that I like the environment, knowing that they can be killed anyway by the cold weather if they're not killed by the actual slasher himself or her, and also the way the blood contrasts on the snow. I don't know, maybe it's a sick thing for me, but that's just one of the things I really enjoy. But I did bring up 3 examples of that. Save that one for last. One made my top 25 modern day slashers. That's Cold Prey. Really cool film, but fair warning, it is subtitled, which I love, but some people may not like that. But that's Cold Prey. Another one, which made my top 25 modern day slashers, is Blood Runs Cold, which is also subtitled, but is a really cool film as well. And one that probably would have made my top 25 modern day slashers, but I thought it was a 90s film, was Shredder. Actually had a talk with, or a conversation with TheHORRORman about this. And I completely thought this was a 90s film, but I think it was 2003 it was done, if I'm not mistaken. But this is definitely a cool film, and it's got some humor in it too. But I do like this film, it's really neat. And that was question, let's see, where are we at now? That was question 4, your favorite slasher film setting. Question number 5, who is your favorite final girl? Definitely has to be Amy Steele from Friday the 13th Part 2. I just think she was incredible in it, and is probably, well, it's definitely my favorite final girl from any of the Friday the 13th movies, but is my favorite final girl of all the slasher films, pretty much. So that was question number 5. Who is your favorite final girl? Question number 6. And this is one I'm probably going to take a beating on. What is the most overrated slasher movie? I picked 2. Originally, and don't get me wrong, I love both of these films. Originally, I picked Curtains because I do feel that the movie is fairly slow, but I do like it. It has an incredible, one of the most iconic masks for any killer, and I don't know, I've always had a soft spot for this film, but it is slow, and I think that makes it fairly overrated in my opinion. But my real answer, and this may surprise a lot of people, is The Slumber Party Massacre. I do really like this film, but I do think it's a little overrated, as it's not, I don't think it's done extremely well. Oddly enough, I don't own the sequels, but I'm sure I'll get there someday. But that was question number 6. What is your most overrated slasher film? Question number 7. What is your most underrated slasher film? I picked 2 for that as well. Now, this is a movie I hardly ever hear anybody talk about, although I am now. As I did my top 25 modern slasher films, it made it. Actually, both of these made it. But it turns out it made a lot of other people's lists too. But for the longest time, I couldn't find anything on this film. Couldn't find reviews or, really people talking about it at all. And that is 2012's The Sleeper. Like I said, if you've seen my videos, there's no big surprise on how I feel about this film. There are only 2 drawbacks to this movie, and I'm sure to some the first drawback isn't really a drawback. It's the, so I don't want to spoil it. It's a bar scene that I think is a little too over the top. I know it's done in fun, but it just didn't appeal to me. And the other drawback is I didn't buy the special edition. I'll say it again. But this was a blind buy for me, and I absolutely loved it. And the other underrated slasher film that I don't hear a lot of people talk about at all is Lost After Dark. This is another 80s throwback that I think is done extremely well. It's pretty much on point, in my opinion, as far as a modern day slasher film and also a throwback. But yeah, that is question number 7. What, in your opinion, is an underrated slasher film? Question number 8. We have to be delicate with this one. What is your favorite gratuitous scene in a slasher film? And like the horror man said, I think we all know what that means. Mine would be Friday the 13th, Part 5, A New Beginning. Deborah Voorhees. Need I say more? Now, one of the people I'm going to tag is Mrs. B and Me. And he spoke about this film and said some things that I actually wasn't aware of. That the director had a choice with the MPAA of whether to put in more gore or more boobs. And he decided to put in more boobs. Now, personally, I would have gone with the gore myself, because I like that kind of stuff, but not exactly disappointed with what he did put in. So I'll just leave it at that. So that was question number 8. What is your favorite gratuitous scene in a slasher film? Now, those are my answers. Of course, this is just my opinion. Bear in mind, I am going to tag 3 people, and I'm going to leave their links in the description box below. I'm going to tag 80s film fan, Mrs. B and me, and Dylan Bean. End credits. They're all really good channels. Definitely check them out. Give them a sub. Also, I was originally tagged by TheHORROMan. Check his channel out. He has really, really cool content, and he's a super nice guy. So, that's my slasher tag. Until next time, peace.